All right. Good evening. We are sitting for the Thursday, March 13th meeting of the Athens Shade Tree Commission. The very first point of order here is to find ourselves a new chair. Chris Fall is no longer appointed, so as our former chair, we'll miss her, but we've got to find someone else. So to start, I would like to kind of put myself forward as the new chair. If anybody else would like to be considered, go ahead and speak, or otherwise, can I get a motion to seat me as the new chair?
Yeah, I'd like to motion to appoint Tristan as the new chair of the Tree Commission.
Motion and second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I think that's it. All right.
Ask if there's anybody else.
Anybody else?
Finding none.
Finding none. All right. Thanks, everybody. So, to start us off for real tonight.
Vote. You have to vote
Oh,
to appoint the chair. So you
Okay.
you made the motion. Now you have to vote on the motion.
gotcha. Vote on the motion to accept me as the chair.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Okay. Thanks for helping us along, Dave. So, to start us off looking at the agenda, going through kind of on the list what we have here, the first piece is under our Title 33. So last meeting, Gene, you had brought up that you wanted us to kind of think about the looking at changing the qualifications for contractors, using our little bit of leverage here. Do you want to kind of take it away? I think you were working on wording of it. Is that right?
Yeah, let me pull it up here real quick. Yeah, so under Title 33, point 1.3, subsection C, in the city code, it says that Shade Tree Commission will maintain a list of qualifications that persons or companies shall meet in order to perform work for hire on pruning, removing, or planting of trees on public property. So after doing some research and also with my own personal experience in the industry, I came up with a list of kind of standards that a lot of other cities and municipalities are using to hire contractors for tree work. That's leading to better tree care, better work, better general overall work in town, and ensuring that the work is being done correctly and safely. So I can kind of read through the list that I came up with. So essentially, first and foremost, we want to make sure that anybody who's doing any kind of tree care in town is either ISA certified or employs somebody who is ISA certified to oversee and manage any tree care work or tree maintenance work on public trees. Next, we want to ensure that anybody who's doing this work has at least general liability insurance for themselves or their company, and we would like proof of that insurance. We'd also like a workers' compensation certificate where necessary for persons or companies who employ folks where workers' compensation is necessary. We would like proof of that and proof of payment into workers' compensation. And then the city contractor license that all contractors have to pay every year. So it's our understanding that we can present these qualifications, this list of qualifications, to City Council, and they can take it into consideration when making these contract decisions. I think personally, if we were to move forward on this, I would like to step back and kind of like recuse myself from any voting on it, just because I am a contractor and I do tree care work in town, and I don't want any kind of conflict of interest conversations.
Yeah.
And I could be up for consideration for some of this work. So I'm happy to present this list and have conversation about it, but I think in terms of voting for it, I should take a step back.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dave, go ahead.
So as you said, the City of Athens Code Office actually does the contractor registration. So nobody that works in the city in this type of business would be able to do that without registering with the code office. So it might be appropriate to take this list and have that available for any tree contractor who come in order to qualify for that to be on this list. To be able to work in the city, you have to meet these requirements. So if you would present them to us, we could go ahead and tackle it from that end. I
Okay.
think that would probably be the most effective way to do it.
That makes sense.
And frankly, I mean, outside of ISA certification, you know, general liability, workers' comp, those are pretty typical things that
Yeah.
are required, I believe, under Title 11. So I don't think, you know, outside of the ISA certification, it'll be much of an issue. When we were looking into some of the grant funding earlier, I think the ISA certification, as well as, you know, holding a higher level of care, ideally, that we would be receiving, it is a prerequisite for a lot of grants that we would apply to. That if any tree work is conducted by anybody that would be funded by any grants that we would apply to, it would be required that they are certified under the supervision certification and they are upholding those ISA requirements. So I think that's I'm all behind it. I do think that, maybe, to kind of level the playing field a little bit instead of kind of making this a shock and kind of laying these out, and that is the new standard. Maybe do like a 6-month waiting period of, and especially if we have the list of the contractors that we have worked with, especially on tree care, to see if we can get in contact with them and give them like a notice of understanding that this will be our new, standard of care that we require for the city, so that we're not immediately turning off access to all the contractors that we work with. ISA certification is not overly burdensome. I told it's really just, having somebody eligible that can take the test and hold that sponsorship. So I think putting this forward and trying to give like that 6-month grace period before that goes into effect might be a good way to go about it. And then, I'm sure there's some time before this gets trickled into, code, and it sounds like it will have to go before city council. I don't know if that is required. Do you know if that's required, Dave?
I don't think it is, because it's already in the code that's part of the requirements.
Okay.
So you're
Yeah.
just trying to perform that code that exists. So I don't think it's necessary. You can if you want, but I don't think it's necessary to go to get another ordinance for that.
Okay. So in the interest of some of our later agenda items, I was looking at some of the Tree City stuff, which has a lot of basically all of the contract work that we hired out last year. It looks like most of that was from Robson. Part of that too would then extend to Greenleaf as, our tree planters as well. So I think if we can get contact with them and get them, basically this memorandum of requirements are going to change. I think 6 months might be good. I would be interested to see if they think that's overly burdensome. I think that's fairly generous.
Would you like to appoint somebody as a point of contact to, if the contractor has any questions?
Yeah, I mean, they could, I think having me as a point of contact is probably fine. I am also ISA certified, so I should be able to answer their questions and help them along with anything that they need.
Question. Would
Yeah.
it be helpful for us to put a letter together for you, or is that something that you want to take care of?
Requirements, yeah, that would be good. That way, this comes from the shade tree. We'll tell the contractor, these are the new requirements from the shade tree. You have 6 months to meet that. If you have any questions, here's contact information.
Okay.
That'd
do
be
that.
great.
So I think if we kind of can agree on that, I think moving forward with creating that list, language, it seems like we're kind of in the clear in terms of we just make it. So I think having liability, workers' comp, ISA, somebody with ISA certification, and then,
The city license.
yeah, city license, which is required in general. So making a list with that, and then kind of putting a 6-month from now time period. Could I get a motion to kind of accept that, to create and move forward with that
Yeah, motion.
motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So we will work on that, and we'll get that to you hopefully in the next week or two, Dave. Seems like it'll only be about 3 sentences, so shouldn't be too big of a thing. So next piece, I believe we had some, you said Title 37 stuff, or Title 33 removals?
Yeah, so I did have tree permit removals, but we had, so the landscape ordinance changes that I don't know if you wanted to, which
Yes.
one to do.
So, I am not terribly sure where they have landed. Yeah,
So those went to Lisa Eliason
Okay.
through Councilmember Wood. Lisa sent it to Andy Stone and staff to review. We've got a couple comments. One, we would like to move the pollinator yard certifications out of Title 37 and move it into Title 9. That's where all the other mowing and invasive material is. And really I believe that the tree commission really should be focused on trees, not so much lawns. So that's great that we have it, but it really needs to be in that other location. So we've made some minor suggestions for that. There's a couple other things we had. There was a section in the title, I think it was Title 37, that if anybody's aggrieved to the decision of the Shade Tree Commission, they have to go to the Shade Tree Commission for a variance, and you really can't do that. So you have to go to somebody else. So we moved that to the Planning Commission. So
Okay.
if Shade Tree doesn't agree with something, then the grievance would then go to the Planning Commission for a decision. You have to go to a different board for that kind of stuff. So little stuff like that, we were making some changes. And then once that's done, the next step was we're going to bring that to Planning Commission for review and consideration. Planning Commission, anytime there's a zone change, change in the zoning code, which part of this is zoning, they have to review that and make a recommendation to City Council. So that would be the next step, is to go to Planning Commission. And Planning Commission will see that twice. They'll see it once as a communication, and then they'll make a recommendation and pass that on to City Council. And then City Council will end up making the decision.
okay. So the entirety of the change in the pollinator piece would go to 11?
All that you had in there, that'll all go to Planning Commission for review, and then to City Council they'll have a committee meeting, and then they'll have 3 readings on it.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So we will keep our eye on the Planning Commission. And then, was there a request for removal?
Yeah, I have a permit here, a request on Stroud's Run, 23 Stroud's Run, excuse me. The gentleman has some trees that he wasn't sure was in right of way or not. We reviewed that. Stroud's Run is an old road, and so it was a little difficult for us to figure out where the right of way is, but we think at least some of those trees are located in the city's right of way. His request is to remove the dead trees, and there's several of them. Some are on his property, some are on the city's right of way. He would like to remove those at his cost.
Okay.
So I can bring this to you?
Yep.
You said at his cost?
Yeah, he'll do it.
Gotcha. Seeing if I can pull it up on the imagery here. Okay. Move dead trees along the road. I mean,
I'm
frankly,
not-
at his expense, if they're dead, I don't see much of a problem with it. Yeah, I would like to accept this.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Yeah.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that to us, Dave. So I guess while we are on the topic of permitting, Gene, did you want to kind of bring up the portal that sustainability was talking about?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of information on it. I went to the Sustainability Commission meeting, I think, 3 weeks ago. And they're interested in kind of revitalizing their section of the website. And part of that would include a portal for people to submit comments or requests for tree care or tree removal. And I know that a lot of that was going through the code office and through Patty and some different system that no longer exists. So I'm thinking of ways to kind of streamline that and bring that information directly to us so it doesn't get lost in translation like it has in the past. So I can coordinate with the Sustainability Commission and get more details on that and see where we can fill in. But personally, I think that would be really helpful for kind of streamlining the process and making sure we're getting that information.
Perfect. Yeah, and then I think that probably will tie in a little bit with some of the committee work that you were going to do, Joe, in terms of like the website.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to kind of link up on that a little bit.
Oh, definitely.
I think one of the other things, is going to be having access to us. So I guess we can, I guess this will hit a couple different things. So updating contact information on our site for each of us. It was historically just forwarding to Chris Paul, which actually only forwarded to Patty Whitmer, which I believe wasn't updated. So hopefully we can get links with each of our emails and whatever contact information we're willing to part with.
Just to look at that whole webpage and see if you want to update it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things we'd kind of like to do is change those. Ideally, get some invasive control stuff on there. So maybe we should make a little point to remember to check in on that next time. Hopefully, see a little bit of change in the website. This is going to be necessary change probably before next meeting. So hitting on some of that info, one other thing I wanted to bring up is open seats on the commission. So with the loss of Chris Fall, we also have an opening in the, an open fifth seat. We also have 2 alternate positions. So if you guys have anybody that you would like to think about putting forward, is showing any interest, anything like that, that is, we're happy to have whoever will fill in some seats here.
Hey, David, do you know the process for that? What is like the actual correct process?
So the mayor would be the one that would make the appointments. So what you want to do is if you find somebody that is, that's interested in doing this, then give that information to the mayor and let him make that appointment.
Okay, so we give the information to the mayor and he reaches
Yeah.
out to them?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And that was, I believe when I applied, it was a resume and like a statement of intent or interest or
Make sure
whatever.
that they know that the mayor's going to contact them. Right? What are you talking about?
So, I mean, and it, since it will then have to go to council, it might be good to just forward that to now Monica and see if she can send that along. Cool. So, 3 open spots. So
Spread the
we got a lot of room here. So I also wanted to bring up a little bit on the Tree City. So we didn't really cover this last year. Chris mentioned it a little bit in passing because it is pretty plug and play. But I did want to bring it up for you guys. It has a lot of information. It kind of, frankly, is the reason we exist. So, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on it or anything like that. But I do want to make sure that you guys know that, the Arbor Day Foundation, they have the Tree City USA site. It has, if you just log in with, your email and say, I'm a member of STC, it seems to not really have any guardrails on getting into it. So if you want to check out some of that, they're required on putting all the contract work that we put out, the numbers on how much we spent in tree care, maintenance, different things like that. So something to kind of keep in mind. It's a good resource. And then maybe something we can spend a little bit of time on as reapplication comes up this next year. And then they also have growth awards, which is little feel goody, it seems like. But it provides a really, really, really detailed list of some things that we should, that I think we should be working towards in general as a city. They have point structures, so kind of looking at that and getting familiar. It's a good place to get some ideas of things that we should be moving towards. So ideally, a tree inventory, potentially, hope's a little bit dashed with losing the grant, but looking to get like a city arborist, things like that have really high point structures, and then there are a lot of smaller things. So it provides kind of a good list of things to look into and, potentially things that we should focus in on in the future. Let's see, what else do we got on the agenda? Arbor Day. So as a piece of Tree City, we have to have an Arbor Day celebration. Last year it was in November, so not a huge rush, but with traditional Arbor Day coming up, I believe on the 25th.
Yeah, I think of April 25th.
April 25th. That is probably a day that we should see if we can do some planting. It's a little unseasonably warm already, so might be a little dry. We'll see how conditions look, but it might be a good kind of like photo op to do something. Yeah.
So a lot of communities combine Arbor Day and Earth Day together as one event. And if you guys are interested in doing anything like that, I would suggest, and I can even help you with it, contact Catherine Ann Jordan, Arts Park and Rec, because I know they do an awful lot of stuff for Earth Day. So you could get in with them and have a Arbor Day / Earth Day event if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
So, does Parks and Rec, did they have access into our tree bank? Could we help them with that?
It's actually the other way around. What's happened in the past is that you guys have locations where you want those trees to go. We'll get them, and then the Arts Park and Rec guys will help install those.
Gotcha.
And maintain them, water them and that kind of stuff after they're installed.
Gotcha.
That's what we did last November too, when we planted along the river. And I think we could coordinate with some of those folks again too. They were involved with the Voinovich School at OU, as well as a few just volunteers in the Arbor Day Foundation. So I'm sure they'd be happy to volunteer and help out in April.
Perfect. So I guess part of this is I was going to kind of solicit if anybody had any ideas of, high impact kind of areas that where we could kind of really make a big show of it. A couple came to mind of, around the new firehouse near the bike path. Now that construction has kind of settled down there, there is a little bit of a spot behind it along the bike path that is pretty bare. I don't believe it's like rec field or anything. So there might be some spots there. Joanna brought up potentially putting in just one tree in that kind of pocket park that we have along where Stimson kind of becomes
By Mound Street, it's like that big little bench.
Oh yeah, okay.
Or at Armitage. Is that what it's called? No, the Armory, I'm sorry.
Yeah, with the new armory.
That park is so nice and so used. I mean, the community would love it.
So I was gonna kind of solicit if any of those really struck a chord with anyone, if anyone had any.
I love those ideas. I also know, speaking with Catherine Ann Jordan last year about another planting project, she would be interested in doing some planting at the West Side Park along the bike path, kind of where it gets really barren towards the student farm.
Yeah.
And, you know, for planting along the path, it's, you know, more shade and stuff for people coming through. So I know that she's already pretty supportive of that, so it might be easy to get some trees over
That's a
there,
good
too.
area too.
Perfect. Yeah, Dave, if you could get me in touch with Catherine and then kind of just put all of us on an email. And then Gene, if you could get me in touch with whoever is at Voinovich, kind of that would head that up. It's coming close. It's coming quick. So hopefully we can get something pretty soon. Hopefully in the next week or so, at least make some contacts and get a place nailed down and maybe a number of trees. So something to think about, something I'd like to kind of move on pretty quickly. We will have another Shade Tree Commission meeting before that, but it'll only be about a week before. So we'll really only be able to get the word out and things like that. So those were the new business. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to bring up or anything before we move on to basically committee stuff? And
I don't believe so.
okay. So let's bring up committee stuff. So I had the cooperation. This was also kind of a way for me to list all the different committees that we have going currently. The cooperation one, haven't really done anything. Communications and website. Any changes on your side, Joe?
Some changes on it, but I need to reach out more about further contact information on it.
Okay. And I think we put some stuff here together that we'd like to see anyway. Policy. Gene, you got anything?
Nothing beyond the list of qualifications that I put together. So.
Perfect. And then right before leaving, me and Chris Fall kind of put together a committee to work with some of our students on. It kind of started as potentially doing a partial tree inventory as part of their push to do, get a expo project going. That has kind of blossomed into a BioBlitz of the east side. East side is kind of overly hit, but it seems it's a really good place to kind of get people congregated and stuff. So that has just in the past couple days got approved. The library on the east side will host us. We will have hopefully some help from Rural Action and maybe some people from the Athens Conservancy to kind of be experts. But basically, we're hoping to do like a citizen science thing where we bring in just anybody that's interested in walking around and looking at trees and kind of show them some basics of tree ID in the park before we kind of break off into smaller groups and have everybody basically just take pictures of all the street trees using iNaturalist. We're going to create an event where it will capture all of those different submissions, and ideally after that we'll be working with Eva to see if we can get that mapped out using GIS and have these plot points of this tree. These are the pictures of this tree in this place, and then ideally maybe scale that up over the next couple year to see if we can hit different kind of high traffic parts of the city and see if we can kind of open source a little bit of a tree inventory and kind of put a little bit of a hodgepodge together. And then at least we will see the extra spots that we'll have to spend some time on really going out and making a point of mapping out for a partial tree inventory.
That's going to be on April 19th, correct?
April 27th.
Okay.
Saturday, April 27th.
Because I know the other commission asked about volunteering and helping out with that, so I can communicate with them to give them the date and the time.
Yes, and we have a Facebook event up for it.
Okay.
27th is a Sunday.
19th.
Cool.
April 19th,
Okay.
everybody. And that is on the city's Facebook page as an event. I believe the library created a little bit of a thing and is sharing it on their Facebook and site as well.
Sweet.
So keep an eye out for it. Let's see. And then we have, so as a part of this, that will be just after, I believe, or maybe just before the kind of Earth Day sustainability event at Walter that the university puts on. So I was kind of working with Eva. I believe in the last meeting, Gene, you said maybe you could find somebody to make a little bit of some sort of piece of media or something that we could hand out or put on the website or something like that of a quick, this is STC and we are in
Yeah.
charge of these things and
Yeah.
we try to do this. Not a huge urgent need, but it would be nice to have something to kind of hand out and do a little bit of press for us. So just kind of wanted to touch base on that. I think we might also see if Eva can make something as part of doing the Bio Blitz as well. And then we already hit the code change. So that is everything I had on the agenda. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up? Any points of anything that we touched?
I don't believe so.
I think that's everything from me.
All right, everybody. Our next meeting will not be December 12th, 2024. It will be second Thursday of April. So, April 10th. So, with that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. See you guys in a month.